Congratulations, your proposal is signed. But now you might be thinking to yourself, so now what? Well, friends, don't worry, I've got you. In today's video, we're gonna talk all about a client onboarding process. So you might be thinking to yourself, why do I even need a client onboarding process? Well, first things first, you want to make sure that you dot all your I's, cross all your T's, get all your ducks in a row to make sure that you are able to get paid at the end. And that is one of the most important things. Make sure that you're protected, your client's protected, and you know how and when you're going to be getting your money. The last thing you want to do is deal with clients due to non-payment or clients that ghost you from payments, and you don't ever want to fall into that hole and have to either eat the cost or go find a lawyer to try to get that money back for you. Being able to dot all the I's, cross all the T's, be legally protected yourself, and know how to get your dollar bills, very important. Second, it creates a lot of efficiencies within your process. So you remember last week we talked all about the ID process. And having this client onboarding process is part of it. We want to create efficiencies so that there are no questions later, so we can work faster. By doing all of these things, people think that it slows them down, but it expedites a lot of the process later. If you are having issues with your clients, getting paid or, not getting reviews back on time and things like that, it's because you did not explain to them what the expectations are, have that conversation of how you will be working together, right? And also, when we do our client onboarding process, we'll walk through all like the different steps that Anchored does. We talk about things like reviews, how many, what you should expect, so we don't have to have that conversation later. It really does lay the groundwork, lay the foundation, and everyone's on the same page. Other bonus tip to that is it decreases scope creep. And if you're interested more in all about how to battle scope creep, I will link this video above, which will give you all the ins and the outs, how we battle scope creep and all the tried and true methods. And the biggest thing biggest reason that you need this client onboarding process is that it creates repeat business for you. Listen, if a client is coming to you because they are coming to you as a service provider, they want you to provide a service to them, they want a white glove service. They paid for something and they expect to be taken care of. And I will tell you this, even if they pay very little for it, they still expect to be paid, to be treated like they are kings and queens. And you know what? I get that. I do the same thing. If I am paying someone to be a consultant or a service provider in my business, I don't expect to have to hold their hand through the process. I expect for them to be the expert in that thing that I'm paying them to be the expert in and to guide me. That's why I hired them. If I wanted to do it all myself, I would have just done it all myself. The only time this might be a little bit different is, of course, if you're someone who is a contractor that's contracting in to augment an instructional design department or a learning and development department, and you really have to embed yourself into their processes. But if you're an outside vendor and you are really owning that process, and this is like a standalone project, you are the one that needs to own the process and own how they will be working with you and how you will be working with them. It's just a way that we show clients that we are taking care of them. Also, the other bonus to that is that you can charge more because you are taking the reins. It does have a perception of higher value when you are the one that are really taking the reins and providing this white glove service. So I know that we all want bigger dollars and more dollars, so provide that client onboarding process as step one and show them that you're a badass and you've got this and they made the right decision by going with you. So let's get into the step by step. First step is make sure all of your paperwork is signed. So at Anchored Training, we have a master design agreement that we provide to our clients. Sometimes we have to use their master service agreement or MSA, but it's just a document that we both sign, a contract that we both sign that talks more about what our relationship is like. It has an NDA in it. It goes into how we get paid, and it goes into just really the relationship between myself and the client that we have. It's not something that if it's a repeat client, we typically have to sign every single time. But it is something that for some companies, when they have a master service agreement, it does expire. So sometimes we would have to renew. This sometimes could be a big holdup because it's a lot of back and forth. It's back and forth with their legal department, with your lawyer and your legal representation. And I do definitely recommend that you have a lawyer draft this up for you. It's just for better protection. You can definitely go online and get your own through, LegalZoom and all of those things. My dad's a lawyer. I just go to daddy and he helps me. And I've just always grew up knowing or really hearing horror stories about reasons that you should not just sign without reading or, not do your due diligence and use those sorts of tools without having someone else just do a scan for you that has that legal background. So I like to keep things on the legal side and make sure that I'm fully protected. And if you do have to use a master service agreement of your customers, make sure you have someone that helps you to review it and you really read every single line of it. And it's okay if you need to offer changes, if you need to make changes. Don't be shy about it. Don't get yourself into a contract that is not going to be beneficial for you. That is first paperwork. The second area of paperwork that we need to make sure that we have signed are any NDAs. So ours is included in the master design agreement, but sometimes the customer would like to use theirs. So just ask if they have any non-disclosure agreements or anything like that they need to utilize. But we definitely make sure that we do the master design agreement and the NDA if we're using their master service agreement or something. And then the last thing that I always have is a W-9. In order to get paid, you will need to provide a W-9, whether you are working under your social security number or your EIN or your employment identification number or your TIN. I think there's another one. You do need to have a W-9. I just at the beginning of every single year download a new copy and just have the current year's date, and I send it over to my clients so they have our W-9. I don't need to do that every single time that we have a project, only if we moved last year, so I needed to send W-9s to all of my clients with our new address. If you go from a social security number and you LLC and you get an EIN, then you would need to send that so they know, when they send out their 1099s in January so that you can pay your taxes, they know where to send it and who to code it to. So they're going to ask for it anyway, so I just like to send it up front. The next thing that you want to do during your client onboarding process is find out where you should be sending your invoices to. In your statement of work, it should share how you will be billing. If it's not in there, it's probably in your master design agreement. We have them in our statements of work that really outlines what is part of the project, what is included, what is not included, any assumptions that need to be made, and any timelines, as well as the milestone billing for that project. I just need to know in the beginning where that invoice should be sent to. One of the reasons that it will take you sometimes to get paid is because you didn't ask that and you sent it to the wrong person, or you sent it to your contact and they never forwarded it on. So I just love to bypass that because I don't like waiting for my money. So I always ask that so I know exactly who it should be sent to, and I set it up in our Zoho Books, which is our invoicing software system, so it goes directly to them. The next thing you want to find out in the beginning is who are your points of contact. You might have been working with a certain person in the negotiation proposal stages, but it might not be the person that's going to be there day in, day out for the project. So find out who you should be working with, their email address, phone number, all of those things, because you're going to want to pull that together to invite them to the kickoff meeting and include them in any project management systems that you're going to be using, and just get to know them, right? They're going to be your points of contact. And speaking of project management systems, you want to make sure that you put your client in your project management system. For us, we're now using ClickUp, and I am so freaking excited about it. It is so much fun to be in there. It's so much fun to have notifications and just be able to be boop, read it, and just know what I should be doing, whether it's in the business or on the business in one tool. But we've also used tools like Smartsheet, Basecamp, Asana. We've used Trello. I've used a lot of project management systems. Just pick one that's good for you. ClickUp might be way too much for what you need in this moment. I'm so overwhelmed by it, and I know I'm not even using it to half of its capabilities, true capabilities. You need to have that project management system and give your client visibility to your timeline. It gives you a level of transparency between yourself and your client that you just can't buy that trust that brings for you. You've heard me say it a million times. Clients always get worried that they're going to get ghosted by a vendor that they contracted with. Having that Smartsheet and having them being able at a moment's notice to pop into your project plan and see that you're making progress, maybe even though you haven't maybe touched base with them in the week, you can't buy that kind of trust. it's really critical. And then if there's any other systems that they need to have access to, this is the time to set them up. Set them up before your project kickoff meeting. That way, at your project kickoff meeting, you can talk about that project management system or that tool that you'll be using, and you really drive the communication. If you want to use the project management system as the main source of communication, that is what you need to be setting the expectation for, and just provide them a little training along the way. So now you're ready to set up your project kickoff meeting. And at that meeting, you're going to be setting the stage for how you all will be working together and align on the project and make sure everyone's in agreement on dates, on scope. Like there are no like questions. I can't tell you how many kickoff meetings I've been a part of where they're like, oh wait, we didn't tell you that we also needed this video. And we're like, no. Or this is the best. I actually got this. I got this yesterday. Ring. Yes. Project manager, Amy. Yes, Amy. XYZ company just wants to know why how they can upload this as a PDF. It's a Rise interactive module. They can do a PDF, but you're gonna lose all the interactivity. Not what we signed, not what we agreed to. So avoid those phone calls and make sure you have that project kickoff so everyone understands exactly what that deliverable is going to be, and so they can figure out how they're going to launch it. Yeah, literally got that phone call yesterday. I was like, here we go. The next thing we want to include is a client dashboard or client resource center. This could be as simple as just like a Google Drive with this information in it. We use ClickUp, so we have a dashboard and it's a visual place for them to go every time they log into ClickUp to access their project plan or to communicate with us. But it's a place that they go for resources. Maybe you have a sheet of what's included in each of your reviews. Maybe you have a document with frequently asked questions. All of those things should be included in your resource center. You should also have some sort of like welcome guide that includes things like your contact information, who to reach out to for what are your working hours, right? So your working hours may be 9 to 4 Eastern, and the client may want to meet at 5 p.m. on a Friday. And if you don't set that expectation of these are my working hours, then they're going to try to get you to meet at 5 p.m. on a Friday. If you set that expectation from the beginning and you are clear, there's no need to have that awkward conversation of, I'm sorry, we don't meet at 5 p.m. on a Friday. I also include just a quick blurb of how I'll be communicating on the project, because in ClickUp, you could add a chat feature and things like that. I'm really trying to get out of email communication and use everything in ClickUp. So including like making comments on tasks and things like that. And even like setting the expectation of like, you need to mention someone in case you need them to take action on something. And that's all good information for them to know so that you don't miss something later. And if you miss something later because you didn't tell them that they needed to mention you, it's kind of your fault. I also include the timeline so they know exactly what is happening when and when they should be expecting reviews and what actions and who needs to be part of those actions. Really just keeps everyone on the same page so we know what date we are working towards. I do include an overview of the project scope. Again, I just find it's like a really nice visual because I have also had instances where that wasn't so like in everyone's minds, and we've delivered a 55-minute e-learn when the client only contracted for a 15-minute one. I was not part of the project management part of that one, but that was a big for one of my clients I was helping them out with. And then a bonus thing that you could add there, just to add a little bit of your personality, how about a welcome video? Let them see you. Let them, hear that you're grateful for the project. Walk through some of these things, even though you'll have them somewhere on the dashboard in the resource center. Walk through some of that with you. Let them see you, hear you, and get that vibe, that sense of how y'all will be working together. That will take it a really long way, and instantly you can build like, know, and trust through a video. And then finally, you actually have your kickoff meeting. And if you want to know more about what should even be part of a kickoff meeting, click the thumbs up button below and like this video so I know that you're interested in learning more about project kickoff meetings. Now I want to leave you with this. Note this process won't be perfect. I know it sounds like I have it all together. And friends, I have like 0 parts of my life together, to be honest. But I do have my process and my procedures together. And I also know that a lot of these things may change over time. What worked in 2021 doesn't necessarily work in 2022. And also, I'm actually using a completely new PM system. Just know that these things evolve and change over time. Also, we will end up getting burned by something in the future. I'm sure of it. It will have to end up going into my client onboarding guide or into the client resources dashboard. It will end up having to become part of the process, and it'll be something that we completely did not even foresee. That happens, that's totally okay. Also, start with something simple. When you're just getting started, you don't need to have all of these things perfect. Just have this checklist that you're able to pull down exactly what it is that you need to make sure that you're doing and do your version of it that you can handle. You can build up to a ClickUp dashboard in the future. Just make sure that you get those key pieces over in a way that works for you. And know that some of the pieces of this onboarding process might change by client. You might have to tweak it. And I don't mean to change the process entirely, just what you communicate, how you communicate. There are clients that I don't put into ClickUp. They never go in there, they don't see it because I use their project management system and it works for us. They are a repeat client that we've had for 11 years and it works fine the way that we're doing it right now. Maybe that'll change in the future, but for right now, they don't go through all of these things. And then remember, repeat clients who don't have to go through each and every step of this process. Just need to find out on new projects who your points of contacts are and schedule that kickoff meeting and make sure you walk any new points of contact through your project management system and process. Whew. That was a lot. Before you run out and start pulling together your client dashboard, which I'm sure you all are going to want to do because who doesn't love a dashboard? I want you to check out this next video, which is all about my instructional design process, where I walk you through step by step from project kickoff all the way to project closeout. Friends, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.